Mr. Raghuram Rajan was doing a mathematical calculation at best. That's not really a projection into where India is going to be 24 years down the line.
Hi Krishna, good to be here. Well, I think Mr. Raghuram Rajan cannot be doubted on the math. I think the simple rule of 72, which says that anytime your rate of growth into number of years equals 72, is when you double as an economy. Now, if you look at India's current state of the economy, by close of this financial year, we are supposed to be in the range of about 4 trillion thereabouts. 12 years from now, that number should become 8 trillion. Add another 12 years to that, we should be at about 16 trillion. So there is one CAGR, the computed average sort of growth rate, basis which India's 16 trillion, 20 trillion, 30 trillion dollar, these numbers can be arrived at. He's using the same math pretty much to also arrive at the per capita GDP or per capita income in this case.
Yes.
Even that quadrupling, going fourfold to $10,000 is something which in any case will have to be deflated using inflation. We can't assume that inflation rate is going to be what it is today. Inflation is also going to add up year on year.
Yes.
So mathematically, I think there is nothing yet to doubt Mr. Raghuram Rajan on.
Okay, nothing to doubt, Mr. Raghuram Rajan. Let's bring in the experts, the economists. We have done our back of the envelope calculations just like Mr. Raghuram Rajan did. Mitali, you have a big smile on your face. I'm going to begin with you and then come to Sujan. Stay with us, Sujan. Mitali, talk to us. How do you view this, what can only be called as back of the envelope calculation by Raghuram Rajan of the Indian economy?
So thanks a lot for bringing me into this conversation. And of course, I think Dr. Laba is actually a friend. And, so I've been through some of their, materials and some of the books. So it's really great that we are discussing it. See, we have to look at 2-3 aspects about the Indian economy in order to actually comment on this calculation. At this point, the growth we are seeing is around 6 to 7%. Now, we don't know in the current, geopolitical sort of context, how is that growth going to go? It could be that we see much faster growth in a scenario where, the geopolitical tensions in other parts of the world worsen and India becomes even brighter as a global bright spot. Currently, a lot of FDI inflows are coming into India. We are seeing some of the highest levels of FDI inflows since 2013-14 coming into India. Nearly $100 billion have come in just in the last 2 years. So that is a very important indicator. The second thing is, when we talk about growth, we have to also talk about inequality and how that growth is distributed. So see, he's talking about per capita income. He's talking about the fact that your per capita income, because it will remain low, India will still continue to be a lower middle income economy. This is where we need to see more work. We know that investment is coming in. We know that, this wealth is coming in. India is a global bright spot, but how are we distributing that wealth amongst the different categories of, our people is really what is going to determine whether we are a lower middle income economy or a higher, income economy. And the third thing, which I think everyone is ignoring, sorry, I'll just complete that. Third thing which everyone is ignoring, I just want to throw it in the beginning of this conversation, is the climate change, right? These conversations do not take into account the impact of climate change. It could be that, all the economies which are more impacted by climate change come down and then India comes out on top, or vice versa. So, a lot of these uncertainties to be taken into account.
Okay. So obviously, that calculation is based on the fact that everything all remains same. Sujan, that itself is being questioned and criticized, and also the questions regarding Mr. Raghuram Rajan and his own, political affiliations, if I may, driving his, intellectual thought process these days. That's also being questioned. People are asking, why don't you just declare which party you belong to, and then we better understand what you're trying to tell us. Because last time you said that there was going to be only 5% growth rate. Clearly, this year we're doing at least 7%. Quarter after quarter, we're doing 7.5%. So my question here is, how do you view this comment in the first place from an economist like Mr. Raghuram Rajan?
So, as you said, the calculation he has done is a simple mathematical calculation, and there cannot be any doubt about the merit of that calculation. But here, first of all, you are assuming India will be growing at 6%. And then you are assuming a certain level of population growth, and you are assuming a certain level of inflation and all those things. So I'll just give you an example. If you look at from when our per capita income was $250 US dollar, and from there when you had to go to double that amount, that $500, it took us 22 years. Right now, if you look at since then, we are doubling our per capita income between 5 to 10 years. So what initially took us 22 years to double, we are doing it within 5 to 10 years. This is point number one. Point number two, let's try to do also a back of the envelope calculation. Let's assume if India, my sense is that India is more likely to grow by 7% CAGR. So if you look at a 7% CAGR, and if you look at a population growth which is pretty much close to 1.1%, so going forward it could be 1% also. So you are talking about per capita real GDP growth of about 6% per year, pretty close to 6% per year. Obviously, if you grow by 6% per year, that means you will double the amount within this 5, depending on how the cycle is. 5 to 10 years is the period, closer to 10 than 5, within which you can double. So from that sense, if you are at 2,500, so obviously within the next 20 years will definitely be that's the time frame he's looking at. Will be upper middle class by that time. So my calculation suggests using his own methodology, and if we put the mathematics the way India is behaving right now, we should achieve a higher middle income status by latest by 2040.
News 9 Plus. Download now.